In this video, I will work on examples of normal probability distribution that involves percentiles. Let me read this example here. The SAT math scores of a certain country are normally distributed with an average of 620 and a standard deviation of 15. And we will work on this problem one by one. Let's look at the very first problem here. So here we are supposed to find the score of the student at 55th percentile rank. That is, we are supposed to find this here. The first thing to do here is, let's try to draw a diagram. We are given a bell curve here, so let me put the mean middle here, which is 620. So let me put that here. And we are given this area to the left, which is 0.55. So we are given this area, 0.55. And we are supposed to find this point here. Find this point here using calculator, using Excel, and also using formula. First, let me show you how to find this point here using calculator. For that, let me pull up my calculator up here on this screen. So go to second, distribution, then we'll be using inverse norm function. So use this arrow key to select inverse norm, then hit enter. Now, we will need area, mean, and standard deviation. Area, it takes area to the left. So from the diagram here, we know the area to the left is 0.55. Let's put that there, 0.55. And mean is 620. So let's put that there, 620. And the standard deviation is 50. Now hit enter and hit enter. Calculator gave me this number here, and this number is the number that goes over here. So that is 626.28. Basically, P55 equals to 626.28. Now, let me show you how to find this value here using formula. So the formula that we'll be using is Z equals to X minus mu over standard deviation. If we look at this formula here, we need Z value, we need mean and standard deviation, and X, that is what we are trying to find. So mean and standard deviation are given in the question here. For Z, since area is given, we find the Z score from the table. For that, let me pull up the table here on this screen. Here, we will try to find 0.55 among these tiny 4 decimal place numbers. The value close to 0.55 here is, let's try to find 0.55 on here. So the value close to 0.55 is this, 0.5517, this number here. And its corresponding Z score is 0.13. 0.13. So that's what we will put for Z here. So that is 0.13. We are trying to find X, so that we don't know that. Now from question, we know mean is 620 and standard deviation is 50. Now solving for X, we get X equals to 626.5. Now let me show you how to find this value here using Excel. For that, you can type in equals, then type in norm.inv, then put your parentheses. Then it takes area to the left, which is 0.55. Our mean is 620 and standard deviation is 50. Then close your parentheses, then hit enter. This is what we got using Excel, and this is exactly what we got using calculator and also using formula. Now let's look at the second problem here. Here we are supposed to find the cutoff score for students at top 5%. So let's try to draw a diagram for the given scenario. We know our mean is right here in middle, which is 620. And given this scenario here, we know the area over this tail is 0.05, and we are supposed to find this point, which is the cutoff score for students at top 5%. So this is what we are supposed to find, this point here. So let me show you how to find this point here using calculator. Hit second, then distribution, then we will be using inverse norm. So use this arrow key to go down to number 3. Then select that, hit enter. So we will need area, mean, and standard deviation. So this takes area to the left. Since we know the area to the right here is 0.05, and we also know that the area under the curve is 1. If this tail is 0.05, then the rest of the area, this area should be 0.95. 0.95. Since the area in the calculator takes area to the left, so this is the area to the left, which is 0.95. So that goes on here, area. Okay, so let me put that there, 0.95. Our mean is 620, so let me put that there, 620, and our standard deviation is 50. Now hit enter and enter. This is what I got here, and this is the value that goes over here, which is 702.24. Let me write that down here. 702.24. Basically, the cutoff score for students at top 5% is 702.24. Now, let me show you how to find this value here using formula. So for that, we know the formula is z equals to x minus mu over the standard deviation. Here we know the area to the left, which is 0.95. We can find the this z score from the table. For that, let me pull the table here on the screen. Okay. Now, here we will try to find 0.95 among these tiny 4 decimal place numbers. And looking at these numbers here, the number that is close to 0.95 is this, 0.9505. 0.9505. Now we will look for its corresponding z-score, which is 1.65. So our z-score here is 1.65. 1.65. We do not know what x is. We know our mean is 620 and our standard deviation is 50. Now when we solve for x, we get x to be 702.5. So we got this using formula, which is approximately equal to what we got using calculator, which is this here, this number. Now let me show you how to find this point here using Excel. Pull up my Excel on the screen. So to find that value using Excel, you'll be typing equals, then typing norm.inv, then put your parentheses. It takes area to the left. Which in this case is 0.95, and mean here is 620, and standard deviation is 50. Then close your parentheses, then hit enter. So this is what I got using Excel, and this is exactly the same as what we got using calculator also. Now let's work on the third problem. Here you are supposed to find the range of score for middle 75%. Let's try to draw a diagram for the given scenario, and a bell graph is given here, and we know mean goes right here in middle, which is 620. And according to the question, we know the middle range score. That means we know the middle section is 0.75. So this area is 0.75, and we are supposed to find this point here and this point here. Okay. So if this area in middle is 0.75, we know this area towards the tail should be 1 minus 0.75. So let me write that down here. These two tails should be 1 minus 0.75. That means, so two tails is 1 minus 0.75, which is 0.25. So these are two tails in total. But if we are trying to find just one tail, then we will be dividing 0.25 by 2. That means we get this tail is 0.125, and similarly this tail is 0.125. Now, using calculator, we can easily find this point and this point. Hit second distribution, then we'll be using inverse norm. So select that, then hit enter. Then hit enter. Now we need area, mean, and standard deviation. So this takes area to the left. And if we are trying to find this point here, so the area to the left from this point is 0.125. So that's what we'll put there, 0.125. And our mean is 620. And our standard deviation is 50. Let's hit enter and hit enter. So we get 562 point this number here. So that is over here. So that goes over here. Now let's try to find this point here. So for that also we'll do the same. We'll use the same concept. So hit second distribution. We will be using inverse norm. So select that, hit enter. Let me clear what I already have here. So here we will need area, mean, and standard deviation again, and area to the left. So this takes area to the left. If we are talking about this point here, then area to the left from this point is 0.75 plus 0.125. So when you add these two numbers here, you will get 0.875. So let me type that there, 0.875. Now our mean is same, which is 620, and our standard deviation is same, which is 50. Then hit enter, then hit enter. So I got this number here, and this number is the number for this point here. Okay. So let me write that down. Okay. So this point here is 562.48, and this number here is 677.52. Now let's use the formula or table to find this point here, these 2 points. For that we'll be using this formula, which is z equals to x minus mu over the standard deviation. First, let's try to find z-score for 0.125. For that, let me pull up the table on the screen. Now here, we will try to find 0.125 in these tiny numbers here. So on this case, 0.125 is closest to this number here, which is 0.1251, and its corresponding z-score is negative 1.15. Okay. So let me write that down here. We are trying to find x. We know our mean is 620 and standard deviation is 50. When we solve for x, so we get x equals to 562.5, and this is approximately equal to what we got using calculator over here. Now let's find other point here using formula. So we'll be using the same formula again, which is this. Here let's try to find z-score for the area 0.875. So let me pull up the table on the screen. Let's look at this table here and let's try to find the area, which is 0.875 within these tiny four numbers here. The closest number that I can find to 0.875 is this, which is 0.8749. Now let's find its corresponding z-score, which is 1.15. I will write that down here. So that is 1.15. We are trying to find x, and our mean is 620. And we know the standard deviation is 50. Now, if we solve for x, we get 677.5. And this is approximately equal to what we got over here using calculator. Now, let me show you how to find these two numbers using Excel. So, let me pull up the Excel on the screen. For that, type in equals, then type in norm.inv. Then put your parentheses, and it takes area to the left since we are trying to find this point here, and we know area to the left of this point here is 0.125. So that's what we'll type, 0.125. Then mean is 620 and standard deviation is 50. Then let's close our parentheses, then hit enter. This is exactly the same as what I got here using calculator. Now let's try to find this point here. So for that also we'll be using the same formula. So type in equals, then type in norm inverse norm.inv, then put your parentheses. So here it takes area to the left since we are trying to find this point here. Then the area to the left from this point here, area to the left is 0.75 plus 0.125, which is 0.875. 0.875. Then mean here is 620 and standard deviation is 50. Then close your parentheses, then hit enter. So this is what I got using Excel, and this is exactly what we got using calculator. Range of score for middle 75% is 562.48 to 677.52. Now let's work on the last problem. Here we are supposed to find the score that puts a student above lowest 10% of the test scores. Now let's draw a diagram for the given scenario, and we have a bell curve here, so we know our mean goes in here, and according to the question we are given this area, which is 0.10, and we are supposed to find this point here. Let me show you how to find this point here in a calculator. For that, punch in second, then distribution. We'll be choosing inverse norm, hit enter. So here we will need area, mean, standard deviation. We know that it takes area to the left, and from this diagram here we know the area to the left is 0.10, so that's what we'll put in there, 0.10. Our mean is 620 and standard deviation is 50. Then hit enter, then hit enter. So this point here is 555.92. So let me write that down here. This equals to 555.92. Now let me show you how to do this using formula. So we'll be using this formula here. Z equals to x minus mu over standard deviation. So from this area, since we are given area to the left from this point here, so from this area we can easily find Z score. So let me pull up the table so that we can find Z score. Here we will try to find 0.10 among these tiny 4 decimal place numbers. So the closest number that I can find to 0.10 is this number here, which is 0.1003. So its corresponding Z score is negative 1.28. Okay. So let me put that in our formula, which is negative 1.28. This is what we are trying to find. Our mean is 620 and our standard deviation is 50. Now we need to solve for x, and solving for x, we get x equals to 556. And this is approximately equal to what we got using calculator. Now let me show you how to find this point here using Excel. So for that, type in equals, then type in norm dot inv, then put your parentheses. It takes area to the left, and we know the area to the left is 0.10 and mean is 620 and standard deviation is 50. Then close your parentheses, then hit enter. This is what I got using Excel, and this is exactly what we got using calculator. Finally, we are done, and I have listed all these answers right here at one place. Thank you for watching. We hope this video was helpful. Please like and subscribe our channel. We will be bringing more and more videos on variety of topics.